everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and today we're going to be going over the 2019 Toyota 4Runner. This particular 4Runner is the TRD off-road, so that is going to be the package that everyone wants when they are going for any particular type of Toyota. As always, we're going to do a quick walk around on the vehicle, then we're going to take it out for a test drive to see how it drives, and then a big shout out and thank you to Larry H. Miller Toyota here in Murray. As you can see, they have a ton of inventory to pick from, so if you're on the market for a new Toyota, definitely check these guys out, and then I'd really appreciate it if you subscribed. Under the hood here of the 2019 4Runner, we have a 4-liter V6. And in terms of fuel economy, it's going to be good for 17 around town, 21 on the highway. It's all routed through a 5-speed automatic transmission, and then power outputs are 270 horsepower and 278 pound-feet of torque. Now, finishing things up front, first and foremost, this paint color is kind of a weird color. It's called super white / brick. Not exactly sure what that means, but we're actually going to start up at the top here with the hood, and you can see that there's a little scoop right there to make it a little bit sportier. A little bit gimmicky, but I like it. We've got some projector bulbs just below that, and you can see the turn signals integrated over to the left side. No LEDs on this, and then there are fog lamps just down below, and then you can see Toyota's signature front end grille. Now around the side here we have 17-inch alloy wheels, and those are on 265mm tires for the front and for the rear, and they are polished. They have a really nice finish to them, and then you can see the Toyota emblem front and center. Definitely a little bit of an interesting design that they've gone for with the 4Runner, and then the tires are going to be a little bit more aggressive since this is a TRD off-road package. Now out back, this is going to amaze some of you, but here's the key fob here for the 4Runner. It's got the Toyota logo. Lock and unlock function, that's it. They keep it nice and simple. We have the 4Runner unlocked. Let's actually go into the inside first and foremost. So it is a hydraulic lift tailgate. And we can see there's actually a ton of storage space back here. You can get a third row with the 4Runner. Most of them are going to be equipped with just a 5-seater configuration. That being said, we can see there's a little power outlet back there, rubber floor mats. It's just got carpeting underneath, and then you've got the rest of the floor mats for the 4Runner. But like I said, this trunk space is really, really good. So I'd recommend probably just sticking with this setup rather than going for the third row, because the third row would be a little bit tight here in the 4Runner, and then you can fold down those rear seats if you need a little bit of extra storage. Now this is cool. So there's a little strap to help it so that you can get the tailgate fully down there. We can see the taillights here in the 4Runner. They actually give you kind of like little LEDs there, and the turn signal's integrated just above. I think it's got a pretty cool look to it. There is the singular exhaust tip right there with a little receiver hitch right next to it, and then you can see the spare tire is just underneath on the 4Runner, and then you can see the mud flaps on the back wheels. Overall, the design here on the rear end is actually pretty attractive, even though this platform's been out for a little bit. Now before we go on back, we've got our TRD off-road badging on the side. Opening up the back here, we can see the door panel for the rear. They've got this nice contrasted stitching with the leather bolster here. You've got your window control up the top. Door handle's just right there, and we can look at the seats here. Again, more of the stitching with that same leather, and if we pull this down, actually, we've got the cup holders right here. It's kind of like a little center console. You actually do get a couple charging stations down there with some vents, netting here so you can store some extra stuff. Legroom back here is actually really good, so your rear passengers will be really comfortable. And the hump in the middle there for the driveline is not that high, so it's pretty easy to sit a center passenger. Coming around to the front here, just regular keyless entry, so you have to take out the key fob to lock and unlock it, but we can see the door panel again for the front. Same stitching, same leather, same black paneling. All of your window controls are up on the upper part of the door panel right here. We actually get some cup holders just down below. When you look at the seat here, we have a few adjustments for the seat. So you've got your power adjustments, and then you have it all labeled right there with your lumbar. If we look at the side here, we can see that there is the button there to control the power outlets, that for your windshield, and then that's for your screen to make it dimmer or lighter, and then we have that for your mirror controls. The steering wheel is adjustable, and then there's the pedal layout just below. Now let's step into the 4Runner. Step in height's a little bit higher. I wouldn't say that you would need side steps for this car, but it definitely is a little bit higher up off the ground compared to a normal SUV. To start up the 4Runner, we just have to put the key fob in there, twist it, it'll start right up. The gauges will do their normal sweep. Now over here we have all of our controls for your Bluetooth and phone controls. That's for that center screen. We'll go over that momentarily. And then you can see your volume controls for the radio. And then this is just going to have standard cruise control on it, the little dial set that's actually right there on the side. So right here we have our little gauge cluster. On the left side, you've got your RPMs. On the right side, you have your speed, and then up at the top left corner, you've got your temperature gauge. On the top right corner, you have your fuel gauge. I was actually wrong about that center screen. It actually just has that little cruising range on it, which will give you your distance you can go without running out of fuel. And then you have your trip computers. Other than that, it just stays at that little like screen setup that it has currently. This button right here is actually going to control the radio. That was my bad on that. Now coming over here, we have our little center screen. You've got some analog controls for this screen, but you can see right here that it doubles as a touchscreen. You can see it's got a couple different functions on it. So you can do your calling, texting, audio, all that stuff, your radio through here. But you can also use the weather function, for example, so you can see current weather status. It's pretty normal setup for most of the touchscreens that they have. It does have navigation if you have that set up with it, but I'm glad that they do the touchscreen with the analog button controls on this. If we pop the 4Runner into reverse here, we can see a backup camera will pop up with the little trajectory lines. They don't move with the steering wheel or anything like that. It's actually pretty good quality backup camera, and that little red line is showing that you're too close and you are about to hit into something. And I did also forget to mention, there's a little CD player up top. Now just below the touchscreen are the climate controls, and they actually feel kind of cool, the little dials on them. It is just a single zone climate, but you've got a temperature gauge, and then you have where the fan will be directed to, a couple other controls for the climate, and then you have your fan speed. And just down below that, you've got a couple of charging stations. Now it's kind of hard to tell because of the lighting in here, but here's our shifter on the 4Runner. This will let you shift between the different drive modes. So you have your two-wheel drive, your four-wheel high neutral, and then you've got your low gearing if you are going off-road on the little shifter here. And then here's the actual shifter to shift into the different gears. You got your reverse, and then there is a dual shift mode here, so you can shift the gears yourself if you would like through that 5-speed automatic transmission. And then actually just below that, there are controls for your heated seats, and then you have your auto button, and that is actually for the rear window in the back. So you press that, and that'll open and close the rear window for the back. I actually really like the carbon fiber here that you can see. It feels really nice, and it actually looks really cool here right in the center. Now storage space up front, we've got more of that stitching leather bolster right here, and then you can see there's a little charging station under here. The center console is actually really big, but the other place of storage is going to be your glove box. You press that button, it'll open that right up. You see the glove box with all the owner's manuals. And again, this is actually a pretty big sized glove box. And then I did forget to go over the front seats. They've got these nice bolsters on them, and it's the full leather for the front. They have a pretty good design on them, and the leather is actually pretty comfortable to sit in. I don't have much else to say on the front seats though. So up top here, we have a couple different buttons. You can see that you have the lockers right there. You have your all track, your stability control. You actually have a couple switches for auxiliary modes, and then you've got your on-off switch right there. You have your little lights controls as well, but then you have a couple different drive mode selectors right here that you can shift between. That's kind of like your off-road cruise control is the best way to put it. And then these are your different drive modes depending on how hardcore you are going off-road, but it's cool to see that in an SUV. Most modern SUVs, I should say, don't have that many different modes that you can go through with the off-road, so it's nice that they give you all those settings. To wrap things up on the interior on the 4Runner, it's actually a pretty nice interior. There's quite a bit of nice materials. Everything actually feels really durable on that interior, and I really like that. And the reason that they go for that is Toyota reliability and durability. But the other thing is, since this is a vehicle that is meant for the off-road, you want everything to be really durable on the interior and to feel really durable so that if you take it off-road and beat it up, it's not just going to fall apart on you. But that all being said, let's take the new 2019 4Runner TRD out for a drive to see how it drives. Starting up the 2019 Toyota 4Runner. It's kind of weird to not have a push button, but kind of takes me back in time a little bit. I'm actually driving in reverse through the lot just because of how I had to film the 4Runner, how I had to angle it, and all of that. But this is kind of like the luxury 4Runner that they have, and so it's kind of more of like the top of the line, but then it's also the off-road package, so it's kind of a weird mix. Initially setting off, the ride quality on the 4Runner is a lot smoother than I expected. I didn't expect this to have a smooth ride quality because it's an off-road SUV, and off-road SUVs are supposed to be bumpy and all over the place, but this is so far really, really smooth. Visibility throughout the 4Runner is really good. The mirrors show a good amount, and I'm not really noticing any major blind spots. A little bit over my left shoulder, but I mean, that's every single car ever. Other than that, though, it's pretty easy to see out of the 4Runner. As we take this turn here, let's see the handling on the 4Runner. Steering is super light and effortless. It doesn't feel as big as I thought it would because this is actually a pretty big sized SUV, and it's pretty easy to turn. The turning radius on it's actually really good, and so solid on that side of things. Road noise in the 4Runner is actually really good as well. There's not a whole lot of noise into the cabin. That being said, that would be kind of a weird thing off-road because most off-road vehicles are expecting to be a ton of road noise in the cabin, a bunch of stuff, but this actually feels pretty much like a luxury car almost, not quite on like the top end, but it's pretty close. Let's get a little acceleration with this 4-liter V6, kind of an old school motor. Well, I mean, I wasn't expecting it to be fast looking at the power outputs and a V6 in a vehicle this big, and the acceleration on it's okay. I can actually imagine this would do really, really solid off-road, and that's because when you have a little bit too much power for an off-road vehicle, it just doesn't do it right. That all being said, I mean, if you're looking for a rocket ship, 4Runner is definitely not a rocket ship. However, before I get a bunch of, you know, hardcore Toyota people bagging on me, it is enough power for around town use and on highway use. It's just, for how big the SUV is and for some other vehicles in this segment, it's a little bit lower power, but you kind of get a benefit of the fact that because Toyota, you know, underpowers their engines and just the technology they put into these engines, which is a little bit more old school, it makes them more reliable and last a lot longer, so your maintenance costs are going to be a lot lower on this vehicle. That all being said, to wrap things up on the 4Runner, if you're looking for a cool, comfortable off-road SUV that you could drive every single day, and this is kind of like the more luxury trim on top of that, then the 4Runner is actually a really solid offering. Even though it's a little bit more old school, you're going to benefit from the greater reliability, and this is super capable off-road. So, I mean, overall, it's a pretty cool, like, analog SUV to an extent, but it's got enough modern tech and gadgets to get you through the day. And there we have it, everyone, the 2019 Toyota 4Runner. Thank you, everyone, so much for watching. As always, if you're shopping for the first time, I'd really appreciate it if you subscribe, comment down below what you thought. And again, a big shout out and thank you to Larry H. Miller Toyota here in Murray for providing us with the vehicle. They have a ton of inventory to choose from, so if you're on the market for a new Toyota, definitely check these guys out, but I'll see all of you in that next video. And then next to the Tacoma that I showed you guys in the last video, here is a 4Runner that's kind of decked out. Same thing, it's got like a little bit of a lift kit on it and then some side steps, so you can see kind of how that looks with the 4Runner. I think it looks absolutely awesome. And here's a quick look at the addendum on that 4Runner, so you can kind of see the add-ons that this particular one has. Really, really cool looking, but again, it's something that you can do on your 4Runner aftermarket wise to make it a little bit more unique.